people of the world, Tesla here. Now, as you clicked on the video, I'm sure you noticed that it said puberty on it. Yes, this video is going to be about both male and female. I am not a doctor. I have no experience at all in the medical field. I'm not a doctor, nothing I say is probably medically accurate, but I am telling you from what I've researched and what are actual facts about the American education system on sex education and both about the male and female reproductive systems. I know a lot of my friends are thinking, okay, Tess, why are you doing this video? Why are you posting this video? Everybody knows about puberty. Well, not entirely true. Future men and women don't know about what puberty is, and sometimes they are either misinformed or uninformed. Well, now you're probably thinking, okay, well, Tess, you don't need to post a video about this. They teach this in schools. Well, that's not entirely true either. 22 states, which I calculated would be 44% of America, and the District of Columbia both teach sex education and HIV education. Now, only 2 states, which 4%, only mandate sex education. The requirements vary from state to state. 19 states require the curriculum be medically accurate, which typically means using clinical terminology for reproductive parts and disclosing the mechanics of different types of sex. 34 states, which I calculated 68%, and the District of Columbia mandate HIV education, and of these 12 states, 24% mandate only HIV education. You're probably thinking, okay, well, kids may not be learning it from schools, but their parents are probably teaching them, right? No. Many U.S. teens are not receiving formal sex education, and fewer teens now than in the past are being exposed to important and timely information about a range of sex topics. Dr. Lindbergh and colleagues analyzed data on 15 to 19-year-olds from the years 2006 to 2010 and 2011 to 2013. Between the two survey periods, the proportion of teens who reported receiving formal education about birth control decreased from 70% to 60% of adolescent females. 57% of adolescent males did not receive any information about birth control before they had sex for the first time. Which probably explains why in 2014, a total of 249,078 babies were born to women that were aged from 15 to 19 years old, for a birth rate of 24.2 per 1,000 women in this age group. This is another historic low for U.S. teens and a drop of 9% from 2013. 38 states and the District of Columbia require school districts to involve parents in sex education, HIV education, or both. 22 states and the District of Columbia require that parents be notified that sex education or HIV education be provided. 36 states and the District of Columbia allow parents to remove their children from instruction. 13 states require that inclusion of information on the negative outcomes of teen sex and pregnancy. 28 states and the District of Columbia require the provision of information about skills for healthy sexuality, including avoiding coerced sex, which, if you don't know what that is, that means being peer pressured into having sex. Also, healthy decision-making and family communication when sex education is taught. 20 states and the District of Columbia require that sex education include information about skills for avoiding coerced sex. 11 states require that sex education include instruction on how to talk to family members, especially parents, about sex, which isn't a lot of states. I wish it was more. 20 states require information on condoms and contraception, which that's pretty low too. Now, since teens are not getting information from the schools and they're not getting the information from their parents, they're obviously going online to look up for this stuff, which The websites teens turn to for sexual health information often have inaccurate information, which I'm sure we all know, but when you're at that age, you're desperately trying to find answers, and you're unfortunately getting the wrong information. For example, of 177 sexual health websites examined in 2010, study of the Journal of Adolescent Health, 46% of those addressing contraception and 35% of those addressing abortion all contained inaccurate information. So, with that being said, that's why I'm making this video. I will be as accurate as possible. If I'm incorrect on anything, please put your comments below and explain more on about whatever I talk about, and clarify if you need to. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. I have no medical degree in anything. I just think this would be a really important video to show those out there who are not getting the proper information about the changing bodies. Another reason why I'm doing this video is because sometimes kids can't go to their parents about these kinds of things and end up freaking out because they don't understand what's happening to their bodies. So I'm here to help the best I can. Today we're going to talk about both the female and male reproductive system. Alright, we'll start with the female reproductive system. It's a little more complicated than the male reproductive system, so there's a lot of information. If you're watching this and you just started your period and you're confused and you clicked on this video, congratulations, you're a woman. Usually between the ages of 10 to 14, you start your period. Sometimes you can start earlier, sometimes you can start later. Every woman is different. A period is a flow of blood and other material from the lining of the uterus lasting for several days and occurring in sexual mature women who are not pregnant at intervals of about 1 month until the beginning of menopause, which you clearly don't have to worry about until you are much older. If you want to know what menopause is, basically what it is, it's the end of your period, like forever. Your parts start to die, you no longer can have kids, and you won't have a period for the rest of your life after that. It usually happens between normally the ages of 40 to 50. Sometimes people can start it as early as 30 or as late as 60, but it's not common. Like I said, it's kind of an average from 40 to 50. Alright, so this is a lovely little diagram I have here. And this is the uterus. Really, the uterus is the entire thing is the uterus, but we mainly just talk about this area because these are the eggs and these are the fallopian tubes, of course. But it's all considered the uterus. So the uterus is an organ in the lower body of a female where offspring are conceived and in which they gestate before birth. So essentially the womb. If you want to know what gestate means, it means to carry the fetus or the baby in the womb from conception to birth. There are two parts of the uterus, as you can see here. The inside is the endometrium, while the outside here is the myometrium. The endometrium, which is the mucous membrane that lines the uterus in which fertilized eggs are implanted. The myometrium, that outside part, is the middle layer of the uterine wall. It consists mainly of uterine smooth muscle cells, but also of supporting stomal and vascular tissue. Its main function is to induce uterine contractions, which is a shortening of the uterine muscles occurring at intervals before and during childbirth. You may or may not get cramps, but that's essentially what cramps are. They're basically the cause of the pain is felt during menstrual cramps because the contractions from the myometrium inhibit blood flow, so it prevents blood from flowing like it's supposed to. So that's why you're doubled over in pain, because you're actually having contractions. And you'll see here, right there where that little thing is pointing, that's the cervix. The cervix is the narrow neck-like passage forming the lower end of the uterus. And that's the vagina, of course. And that's basically where the baby comes out and where you bleed monthly. So like I said before, Right here are the ovaries. And what the ovaries do is it holds your eggs. Eggs will go through the fallopian tube here, so these little tubes right here, and drop the egg into the uterus, where you can see it's dropped in the endometrium lining of the uterus for future fertilization. Now, every woman is different, but the average amount of eggs women have when they're born is 1 to 2 million eggs. The thing is that you won't use all of these. You'll probably only be using a fraction of these eggs, so you're limited to how many eggs you have. When you start your period, you only have about 300,000 eggs that are still viable, so that are still able to be used. A cycle is counted from the first day of the period to the first day of the next period. So the average menstrual cycle is about 28 days. Cycles can range anywhere from 21 to 35 days in adults and from 21 to 45 in young teens. The reason this is why it's so much bigger when you're younger is because your body is still trying to, I guess, more or less figure out the hormones. So you become irregular for a long time. Sometimes you can be irregular throughout your entire adolescent phase, even into early adulthood. So normally through the menstrual cycle, your hormones are kind of going all over the place. So in the first half of the cycle, levels of hormones, which is the female hormone, start to rise. Okay, estrogen also makes the lining of the uterus grow and thicken. So the lining of the womb is a place that will nourish the embryo or the fetus if pregnancy occurs. Now, at the same time, the lining of the womb is growing, an egg or ovum in one of the ovaries starts to mature. At about day 14 in the average of the 28-day cycle, the egg will leave the ovary. So the egg will leave the ovary, go through the fallopian tube, and start to go into the uterus, which is called ovulation. That normally happens within, like I said, about day 14 in the 28-day cycle. After the egg has left the ovary, it travels through the fallopian tube to the uterus. Hormone levels rise and help prepare the uterine lining for pregnancy. A woman is most likely to get pregnant during the 3 days before or on the day of ovulation. You'll notice that you can really get pregnant at any time during the month, but to get pregnant, I guess, easier is through the days of ovulation. Keep in mind that women with cycles that are shorter or longer than average may ovulate before or after day 14. So it will all depend on how long or how short your menstrual cycle is, or how long or short your months are. Try to keep track when you first start. It will be, like I said, it will be totally irregular. A woman becomes pregnant if the egg is fertilized by a man's sperm cell and attaches to the uterine wall. So like I said here, the egg's right there, and the sperm will come through here and attach itself to the egg. If the egg is not fertilized, basically it breaks apart, then the hormone levels drop, and the thickening of the lining of the uterine sheds, causing you to have a period. Now, to help with cramps, you can take Midol. There's like high doses for people that have really bad cramps, or normal ones for people that have like moderate cramps, depending on how painful they are. You can take ibuprofen and Tylenol. It's a pain reliever. It can help you. If no normal over-the-counter medicine works, you need to talk to your doctor and ask them what medicine can help their cramps better. Another thing you can do is a heating pad is always good if you have one just lying around the house. Normally Mom and Dad will have one. It's pretty common if they do. If not, you can always ask them, and hopefully they'll get one for you. And just keep it on your abdomen until you start feeling better. Now, there's a few ways to catch the blood. Hopefully you know, but if you don't, there are quite a few things. One, you could use a pad. Basically what you do is you open it up and you can put the sticky part on the inner of your underwear so that can catch the blood. Now, the thing about it is periods in general are just very uncomfortable. So you're gonna kind of be sitting around in your blood all day. So if you don't like that or you don't want to do it that way, there are tampons. The thing about tampons is that you do have to put it up into the vagina, and it's kind of uncomfortable, but most of the time you don't feel it. I personally don't wear tampons unless I am going swimming or I'm exercising, which we all know I don't do. Anyway, so you can use those if you prefer. Now, not only do you have to worry about your period, you have to worry about hair growing in all sorts of places, your armpits and your vaginal area. You'll get body odor. You'll also get cramps, like I said. Your hips will get bigger, and your breast will start to develop, and then you get training bras and all that lovely stuff. And the best part, acne. All the fun things of becoming a woman. Now that we're all done with the female reproductive system, now we're gonna go to the male. Unfortunately, with the male reproductive system, it is external, whereas the female, of course, is internal. So with the female, I didn't have to show you really anything graphic. So this is the male reproductive system. Like I said, it is external, but I tried to make it as pretty bland as possible. So basically, this is the penis right here. It's the male sex organ reaching its full size during puberty. In addition to its sexual function, the penis acts as a conduit for urine to leave the body. The penis is made up of several parts, really just a few. The glans, which is the head of the penis right there, okay? And in uncircumcised men, the gland that I was talking about is covered with a pink moist tissue called mucosa, or as a lot of people call it, the foreskin. Now, the foreskin is a double-layered fold of smooth muscle tissue, blood vessels, neurons, skin, and mucous membrane that covers and protects the gland, penis, and the urinary meatus. About 60% of baby boys in the U.S. undergo circumcision where the foreskin is removed. So right here is the urethra. The urethra is a tube that carries urine from the bladder out to outside of the body. In males, it has an additional function of ejaculating semen when the man reaches orgasm. When the penis is erect during sex, the flow of urine is blocked, so from the urethra, allowing only semen to be ejaculated at orgasm. Now, the testicles, which are right here, also called testes or balls, are oval-shaped organs that sit in a sac that hangs behind the penis. The main job of the testicles is to make and store sperm and produce testosterone. Testosterone is the male hormone that's responsible for the changes that occur during puberty. Voice changing, growing in height, growing hair in all sorts of places. Men get way more hair than we do. We're blessed for that. Etc. Unlike females, males are always making sperm. Like I said before, women only get a certain amount of eggs for the rest of their life. Men, they get sperm for the rest of their life. They continuously produce it all the time until they die. Semen is a grayish white bodily fluid that is secreted by the gonads of the male. It carries sperm or the spermatozoa and fructose and other enzymes that help the sperm to survive to enable to successfully fertilize the female egg. So right behind the testicles is the epididymis. It's a long coiled tube that stores sperm and transports it from the testes. So the sperm goes from the testicles to the epididymis. It appears as a curved structure on the posterior, the back margin of both testicles. It is comprised of 3 sections, the head, body, and tail. So right here is the vas deferens. It's that tube right there. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, the tube right there. And that is responsible for directing and propelling into the urethra after the sperm has passed through the epididymis. So it goes testicles, epididymis, vas deferens. The function of the vas deferens, also called ductus deferens, is to transport sperm from the epididymis to the ejaculatory ducts for the production of ejaculation. Each of a pair of glands that open into the vas deferens near its junction with the urethra and secrete many of the components of semen. This little purple thing right there is the prostate gland. The prostate gland is a male reproductive organ whose main function is to secrete prostate fluid, one of the components of semen. The muscle of the prostate gland also helps propel the seminal fluid into the urethra during ejaculation. It surrounds the urethra just beneath the bladder. Male puberty can start as early as 10 years old and as late as 14 or 15, but every male is different. Most guys have some growth of their testicles by age 12. This is a first sign that puberty has started. Once it starts, most guys complete their development in 2 to 5 years. Again, that will depend. Girls start puberty sooner and faster than boys do. Girls usually begin to grow taller 2 years younger than boys, so a lot of boys will notice, man, why are these girls so much taller than me? And it's like, you're gonna get it, I promise. Hormones from a special part of the brain cause the testicles to grow bigger. The skin of the scrotum becomes thinner and the testicles hang lower. Later, pubic hair develops around the base of the penis and the scrotum. The penis also begins to get bigger. Meanwhile, the rest of your body goes through its own changes. You have body odor, acne, hair begins to grow under your arms, on your face, arms, legs, and chest. You'll get it everywhere. You're gonna grow taller and more muscular. You may experience some pain in your arms and legs. That's just their growth pains. Your voice is gonna get deeper. When this happens, your voice is gonna start cracking because it's going from the higher pitch to the lower pitch. But this problem will go away soon enough. Don't worry about it. You might also notice some swelling and tenderness under the nipples. This is normal. This is part of puberty. A lot of boys, they're like, oh my god, am I growing breasts? Like, what's happening? No, you're not growing breasts. Stop. The swelling is caused by hormones that are released during puberty. The swelling will go away with time. Another unfortunate and embarrassing thing boys have to go through when they're going through puberty is random erections. This is normal. An erection is when your penis gets hard. This happens when tubes in the spongy tissue of the penis fill up with blood. Many erections are caused by sexual arousal, but when you're going through puberty, a lot of the time it will happen for no reason at all. They'll sneak up on you in the morning. When you wake up, you're just relaxed, and for whatever reason, you look down and you're like, oh, hello. It'll happen when you're in class, when you're eating. It will happen at random times. You won't know when it's coming. As you get older, though, the erections will become less spontaneous and more restricted to sexual occasions. Like I said, everyone is different. Everyone will go their own pace with puberty. Some are early birds and others are late bloomers. Just know that it's natural and not to be afraid to talk about it. I know it's weird. It's always weird. You don't want to talk about it with anyone because, you know, it's really a really awkward thing to talk about. If you guys have any questions or comments, please put your input in the comments below. I will answer them as soon as I possibly can. I will help you with any other questions that you have. I will have more videos coming out soon about sex education and HIV education. I will talk about all the different kinds of STIs. They are not STDs anymore. They are STIs, AIDS, contraceptives, and abortion, and all that other lovely stuff to talk about. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!